It is really bright. Doing alright, thanks. How are you? Ooh, perfect! With Valentine's Day coming up. A Cry for Cupid, page 197. Someone suggested, or requested, I should say, Shakespeare to Dryden, book number 11. Alright, page 197, A Cry for Cupid. A Cry After Cupid. From Galathea. Galathea. I think so. Mm. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying. I really hope so. I mean, we're doing all we can do when it comes to that stuff. I know people always ask questions, and that's what we're telling you. I know when people get to that point, that's where we're at, and that's where we've been at for many years. Yeah, 2009, 8, 7, 6. It's awesome, huh? Yeah, the abuse, fraud, and neglect still hasn't been addressed, and then all the things happening to cover that stuff up, and other people investigating and doing things. Yeah, it's horrifying. We hope so. And it's amazing. We're aware, and we're aware enough to understand it's amazing we survived. That's why we say we're watching and listening from the great beyond. And all we can do is hope and pray that they help our children in the hands of those murderous, sick punk pedophiles who got away with killing us. Justified. That's why we say totally fine. That's where we're at, and we're aware, and that's a strength, and we know that, and we know these cases. And it doesn't usually get past that point. Once it gets to the point where they try to help the children, when people wake up and go, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. Yeah, if it gets to that point. Well, in the past, usually it's kept quiet and they take care of business, right? One way or another, just the same way they do it the other way. Overdoses, accidents. So there's many people who are aware of these things that have been trying to expose the child pedophilia lines for decades. Yeah, Alex Jones. I remember in 2009, actually, around the time the private investigator shot himself, someone came up to me at Capitol Park. Yeah, two people actually, within a short time frame. One told me not to listen to Alex Jones, and one told me not to listen to that person. It was very strange, so to speak, but we're used to that around here. Well, actually, at that time, 2009, yeah, it was old then. It was like, wow, that behavior got played out in the 90s. So to see it kind of being rewoken because of different things happening within the systems. Power shifts, they call it. Yeah, if you understand 9/11 and the fundraising companies and all that stuff, it might help you with that. It's just life. It's right, exactly. There's nothing really to figure out. We're not trying to expose any company or person for anything. Just speaking the truth, and it upsets people. And the fact that we're dead and our children have been fucked and tortured and people are making child and animal pornography is what's disturbing to us. And how people roll their eyes at that and want to say it's all a conspiracy, and in our heads is what's scary as well. All right, we're actually going to start on page 196. I want to read In Praise of England. Enter 5 shepherds, Menelcas, 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 Menalcas, 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 Corin, Celthus, Dreapon, Amantis. Yeah, it's just a kind of a hobby class, something that we do. Yeah, you know how sometimes if you go to different rehab classes, some of them like to color or read poetry, just talk in a circle. Have you ever done dialectic behavioral therapy? You might like that. It wasn't a Freudian slip, but probably was. Menalcas. I muse what the nymphs meant that so sang in the grooves. Midas of Phrygia hath ass ears. Phrygia, thank you. What did I say? So when I say the names of the person that's speaking, I'll do this. So you'll know that I'm saying the name of the person speaking. I'm not good at doing different voices, so. Menalcas. So instead of saying Menalcas says, this means says, okay? Menalcas. I muse what the nymphs meant that so sang in the grooves. Midas of Phrygia hath ass's ears. Corin. I marvel not, for one of them plainly told me he had an ass's ears. Celthus. 'Tis true, yet since Midas grew so mischievous, has to blur his diadem with blood, which should glisten with nothing but pity, and so miserable that he made gold his god, that was framed to be his slave. Many broad speeches have flown abroad. In his own country they stick not to call him tyrant, and elsewhere usurper. They flatly say that he eateth into other dominions, as the sea doth into the land, not knowing that in swallowing a poor island as big as Lesbos, he may cast up 3 territories, thrice as big as Phrygia, for what the sea winneth in the marsh, it loseth in the sand. Amiantas. Take me with you, but speak softly, for these reeds may have ears, and hear us. Menalcas. Suppose they have, yet they may be without tongues to betray us. Corin. Nay, let them have tongues too. We have eyes to see that they have none, and therefore, if they hear and speak, they know not from whence it comes. Amiantas. Well, then this I say, when a lion doth so much degenerate from princely kind that he will borrow of the beasts, I say he is no lion, but a monster, pierced with the craftiness of the fox, the cruelty of the tiger, the ravening of the wolf, the dissembling of the hyena. He is worthy also to have the ears of an ass. Menalcas. He speaks to conquer Lesbos, and like a foolish gamester, having a bag full of his own, ventures to all to win a groat of another. Corin. He that fishes for Lesbos must have such a wooden net, as all the trees in Phrygia will not serve to make the cod, nor all the woods in Physidia provide the corks. Dreapon. Nay, he means to angle for it with a hook of gold and a bait of gold, and so to strike the fish with a pleasing bait that will slide out of an open net. Amyntas. Tush, tush! Those islanders are too subtle to nibble at craft, and too rich to swallow treasure. If that be his hope, he may as well dive to the bottom of the sea, and bring up an anchor of 1,000 weight as a plod, with his gold to corrupt a people so wise. And besides, a nation, as I have heard, so valiant, that are readier to strike than ward. Celsus, Celtus. More than all this, Amyntas, though we dare not so much as mutter it, their king is such a one dazzleth the clearest eyes with majesty, Duntus the valiant hearts with courage, and for virtue filleth all the world with wonder. If beauty go beyond sight, confidence above valor, and virtue exceed miracle, what is it to be thought but the Midas goeth to undermine that by the simplicity of man that is fastened to a rock by the providence of the gods? Menocas. We poor commons, who tasting war are made to relish nothing but taxes, can do nothing but grieve to see the things unlawful practiced, to obtain things impossible. All his minds do but gild his comb, to make it glisten in the wars, and cut ours that are forced to follow him in his wars. Corin. Well, that must be borne, not blamed. That cannot be changed. For my part, if I may enjoy the fleece of my silly flock with quietness, I will never care 3 flocks for his ambition. Menoclas. Let this suffice. We may talk too much, and being overheard, be all undone. I am so jealous that methinks the very reeds bow down as though they listen to our talk. And soft, I hear someone coming. Let us go in and meet at a place more meet. Meet at a place more meet. M-E-E-T. A cry after Cupid. Cupid? A cry after Cupid? You get a coupon? We'll post that one, yeah? I'll read Cupid and Camp Apps. Camp Apps. Camp Asps. Camp Asp. Oh, man. Camp Asp. Am I saying it right? Camp Asp. Camp Asp. Camp Asp. Cupid is in Camp Asp. Sorry, C-U. C-A-M-P-A-S-P-E. Camp Asp. It's one word, camp, like going camping, camp. C-A-M-P. And asp, A-S-P-E. Camp Asp. Cupid and Camp Asp. Cupid and my Camp Asp played, at cards for kisses Cupid paid. He stakes his quiver, bows and arrows, his mother's doves and team of sparrows, loses them too, then down he throws the coral of his lip, the rose growing on cheeks, but none knows how. With these the crystal of his brow, and then the dimple of his chin, all these did my Camp Asp win. At last he set her both his eyes, she won, and Cupid blind did rise. O love, has she done this to thee? What shall at last become of me? George Peele, or Pele, Peele, is next. Neither the birthday nor the death day of Pele is known. He is believed to have been born in Devonshire on or about 1553, and he was dead by 1598. His father was a London merchant. The son was an Oxford man, and took his degree of Bachelor of Arts in 1577, and his degree of Master of Arts 2 years later. Before he left the university, he was recognized as a poet, and was marked for his tendencies to social gaiety. Right, sometimes we do that. We'll say he was born here, died this age, so how old was he when he died? Right, and you can have them write down their answers or do like around the world type competitions, or you see who can say it first. Right, so for some where we have the electronics now, it just calculates, so you don't have to kind of guess. Well, that was close. You two come here. Let's give another question, see who's faster. Right, it kind of eliminates all that, right down to the very minutest second. Well, right, because then you're dealing with, well, did they think of it first and they just have a hard time computing it into the system? Right, so this way, if you're at home and like say we're sitting here doing it, and I say it out loud, right, you can say it out loud. You don't have to punch it in. Right, so it's actually recording it as though, right, you're just not in the room with each other, which eliminates, taking each other's heads off, fighting over that blue ribbon, I mean, unless you got a wagon and a horse, how long is it going to take you to get there? Hold on. Right, so yeah, really quickly sometimes we do that, and now we're not only doing reading and poetry and history, but also math. It's wonderful. Yes, anyway, so he was dead by 1598, so if he was born in 1553, that would make him 45 years old when he died. His father was a London merchant, son of an Oxford man, and took his degree of Bachelor of Arts in 1557, and he would have been how old? 24, right? And his degree of Masters of Arts 2 years later. Before he left the university, he was recognized as a poet. Good looking out. He was recognized as a poet and was marked for his tendencies to social gaiety, a trait that became still more pronounced when he went up to London, where he was ejected from his father's house and joined the roasting set of blades known as the University Wits. Royster, Roister, roistering set of blades known as the University Wits, who wrote plays and poems and burned life's candles at both ends. You want to look up the University Wits? A set of blades known as the University Wits, who wrote plays and poems and burned life's candles at both ends. He was reputed a sagwag, has the untrustworthy volume. The Jests of George Pele testifies. He foregathered with Nash, Marlowe, and Green, and by tradition haunted the tavern of the Green Room, a dissolute scribbler in whom was a spark of genius, and who, however irregular his habits, dying in mid-manhood, left literary work which declares him, after all, an industrious author. He made 5 dramas, and besides, need a sip of water. He made 5 dramas, and besides published a number of volumes of poems and pageants. The first treatment, mostly in heroic couplets, of the myth of the awarding of the golden apple, which a native patriotic application, making Venus, who wins the prize of beauty, yield it in turn to Queen Elizabeth. The famous historical tragedy, skipped a line. The famous Chronicle of Edward I, 1993, shows the writer struggling towards the true historical tragedy. It has some effective scenes, but little poetry, and as a whole is confused and ill-welded. The Battle of Alcazar, 1592, is a vigorous play, but lacks construction. The Old Wives' Tale, 1595, is a rollicking farce stuffed with nonsense and one of those in-choate dramatic performances which very characteristic of the earlier English playwrights, but far removed from a serious art purpose. Its main significance lies in its having supplied Milton with the subject of Comus. It is his last play, David and Bethsab, printed in 1599, that Peele reached his high water mark of imaginative poetry. It deals with the Bible story in a spirit of sensuous romanticism and contains lovely passages of blank verse of the amatory and descriptive sort, handling that measure with a skill such as only Marlowe of the forerunners of Shakespeare has surpassed. The piece lacks dramatic force, being idyllic in motive and manner. Some of Pelley's lyrics, found in his plays or in his various volumes of verse, are among the most beautiful in the whole range of Elizabethan song. They became popular at once and were printed in various song collections of the time. As a playmaker, he did not do so much in preparing the way for Shakespeare as other contemporaries like Lyly or Greene, but he surpassed them in his occasional lyric touch and tone. And next we'll read Old Age. His golden locks time hath to silver turned. O time too swift, O swiftness never ceasing. His youth gainst time and age hath ever spurned, but spurned in vain. Youth wanteth by increasing, beauty, strength, youth, all flowers but fading seen. Duty, faith, love are roots and evergreen. His helmet now shall make a hive for bees, and lovers' songs be turned to holy psalms. A man at arms must now serve on his knees, and feed on prayers which are old age's elms. But through from court to cottage he depart. His saint is sure, and his unspotted heart. His saint is sure of his unspotted heart. And when he saddest sits in homily cell, he'll teach his swains the carol for a song. Blessed be the hearts that wish my sovereign well. Cursed be the souls that think her any wrong. Goddess, allow this aged man his right to be your beadsman. Now, that was your night. David and Besabe. He draws a curtain and discovers Besabe with her mild bathing over a spring. She sings and David sits above, viewing her. The song. Not sun, cool fire, tempered with sweet air. Black shade, fair nurse, shadow my white hair. Shine, sun, burn fire, breathe air, and ease me. Black shade, fair nurse, shroud me and please me. Shadow my heart, nurse, keep me from burning. Make not my glad cause of mourning. Let not my beauty's fire inflame unstained desire, nor pierce any bright eye that wandereth lightly. Bethabe says, come, gentle zephyr, tricked with those perfumes that erst the Eden sweetened Adam's love, and stroke my bosom with thy silken fan. This shade, sun-proof, is yet no proof for thee, thy body smothered than this waveless spring, and purer than the substance of the same, can creep through that his lances cannot pierce. Thou and thy sister, soft and sacred air, goddess of life, of governess of health, no brazen gate her passage can repulse, nor bushy thicket bar thy subtle breath. Then deck thee with thy loose, delightsome robes, and on thy wings, and on thy wings bring delicate perfumes, to play the wanton with us through the leaves. David says, what tunes, what words, what looks, what wonders pierce my soul, incensed with a sudden fire? What tree, what shade, what spring, what paradise enjoys the beauty of so fair a dame? Fair Ava, placed in perfect happiness, lending her praise notes to the liberal heavens, struck with the accents of archangels' tunes, wrought not more pleasure to her husband's thoughts than this fair woman's words and notes to mine. May that sweet plain that bears her pleasant weight be still enameled with discolored flowers, that precious font bear sand of purest gold, and for the pebble let the silver streams that pierce earth's bowels to maintain the source play upon rubies, sapphires, chrysolites. The brims let be embraced with golden curls of moss that sleeps with sound that waters make, for joy to feed the fount with their recourse. Let all the grass that beautifies her bower bear manna every morn insisted of dew, or let the dew be sweeter far than that hangs like chains of pearl on Hermon's hill, or balm which trickled from old Aaron's beard. Now comes my lover tripping like the roe, and brings my longings tangled in her hair. To joy her love I'll build a kingly bower, seated in hearing of 100 streams, that for their homage to her sovereign joys shall, as the serpents fold into their nests, in oblique turnings, wind the nimble waves about the circles of her curious walks, and with their murmur summon easeful sleep to lay his golden scepter on her brows, scepter on her brows. Open the doors and entertain my love. Open, I say, and as you open, sing, welcome, fair Besabe, King David's darling. From a farewell to Sir John Norris and Sir Francis Drake. Have done with care my hearts aboard Aman, with stretching sails to plow the swelling waves, big England's shore and Albion's chalky cliffs. Farewell, bid stately Troyvant adieu, where pleasant Thames from Issus' silver head begins her quiet glide and runs along to that brave bridge, the bar that thwarts her course, near neighbor to the ancient stony tower, the glorious hold that Julius Caesar built. Change love for arms, girt to your blades, my boys, your seats and muskets take, Take helm and targe, and Targe, take helm and targe, and let God Mars, his consort, make you mirth. The roaring cannon and the brazen trump, the angry sounding drum, the whistling fife, the shrieks of men, the princely coursers neigh. Now veil your bonnets to your friends at home. Bid all the lovely British dames adieu, that under many a standard well advanced have hid the sweet alarms and braves of love. Bid theatres and proud Tradians, bid Mahomet, Scipio, and mighty Tamburlaine, King Charlemagne, Tom Stuckley, and the rest, adieu, to arms, to arms, to glorious arms, with noble Norris and victorious Drake, under the Sanguine cross, brave England's badge, to propagate religious piety, and hew a passage with your conquering swords, by land and sea, wherever Phoebus' eye, thy eternal lamp of heaven, lends us light, by golden Tagus, or the western Ind, or through the spacious bay of Portugal, the wealthy ocean main, the Tyrrhene sea, from great Alcides pillars branching forth, even to the gulf that leads to lofty Rome, there to deface the pride of Antichrist, and pull his paper walls and popery down, a famous enterprise for England's strength, to steal your swords on Avarice, triple down, and cleanse Augeas, still in Italy. To arms, my fellow soldiers, sea and land, lie open to the voyage you intend, and sea or land, bold Britons, far or near, whatever course your matchless virtue shapes, whether to Europe's bounds or Asian plains, to Africa's shores or rich America, down to the shades of deep Avernus, crags, sail on, pursue your honors to your graves. Heaven is a sacred covering for your heads, and every climate virtue's tabernacle. To arms, to arms, to honorable men, to arms, to honorable arms. Cheers. Salute. Are you drinking some water? Yeah, we were getting that sun in our eyes while it was there. It's moved over there now. I'll have to move this way. There we go. We'll get it in the corner of this eye. You're welcome. Yeah, those were good ones for today. I'm really actually glad we got that with Valentine's Day coming up. That was perfect. Thank you for requesting Shakespeare. It's book number 11 in the Columbia University series. Yeah, we love these books. This one has them playing chess in the beginning. It's Ben Jonson and Shakespeare playing chess, courtesy of the New York Public Library. Reputed to represent Ben Jonson and Shakespeare playing chess. All right, that's about 35 minutes, so we're going to cut it off there because uploading's been taking a while. It's sped up on this actually, so we'll see. Let's see, it's exactly 10 o'clock right now, so we'll see what time this gets uploaded. I'm going to do it right now. All right.